Hello, I'm Sally Pointer. I've just had a parcel through the post, which is unusual even by my standards. Now, if you think this looks a little unappealing at this stage, you'd be absolutely right. What this is a batch of deer sinews from the back leg of the deer. They've been sent down by a very kind friend up in Scotland from some deer that have been culled. And I need them because sinew is a very important material in prehistory for all sorts of things, but particularly for cordage and sewing things together. Each one of these is essentially the Achilles tendon from down the back of the leg, and fresh like this are not much use. What I need to do first is completely dry them out. Traditionally, you could do this by hanging it up somewhere warm and airy. It's still the middle of winter here and it's raining. I'm going to put the dehydrator on. I'm not sure how long these are going to take to dry, so I'm going to switch on the dehydrator and I'll check on them in a couple of hours and adjust my planning accordingly. The slight whirring noise is the dehydrator. It's had 2 hours. Look, they're starting to dry out. When they're done, they should pretty much look like sticks, but at the moment they're still a little bit bendy. So I think maybe another 2 or 3 hours and these should be ready to use. So, these have got me into trouble with my mother because I went out overnight, left them cooling down, and they decided they were going to become quite smelly, and she objected. So I and the dehydrator are in the porch at the moment. They're doing all right though. I think these still need a couple more hours, but they are very, very nearly there. And yes, they do whiff just a little bit. And these have dried out really nicely. In the end, they needed about 8 hours in the dehydrator, which just goes to show how much moisture is in these tendons and how long they would have taken to dry out if you were relying on air, sunlight, warmth from the fire to do it. These now will last pretty much forever, but they're not going to last forever. First things first, I've got to keep the cat away from them because he thinks these are the most delicious catty chew treats. They are not for him. I need to go and find my favourite rock and a nice piece of wood, and we can start processing these down for the collagen fibres that are inside them. If I just use a piece of wood with another piece of wood, it's too bouncy. It takes absolutely forever. If I use a rock and another rock, it's too crunchy. It breaks the fibres. What I find works really, really well is a piece of wood underneath. It could be a log and a rock on top. And we're just going to pound it until the fibres separate out. Hello, Tesla. You coming to say hello? Come on. Yes, you like these, don't you? Yeah. See? Very attractive, the quality control cats. And there's nothing complicated about this. It is just a case of keep whacking it. And it's going to take a while. And the first thing you'll notice is it starts to go white. There's a bit of a coating on these collagen fibres. And it's the sort of thing where at first you're going to think nothing's happening. But look, can you see how that's starting to break down into strands of fibres? We need to keep going until those fibres are all completely free. Okay, so that gives you the idea. I'm going to turn the camera off, do the rest of this strand, and we'll have a look at it when it's completely finished. Once you get to the point where you can tear strips off, you can start subdividing it, and you want to take these down into the finest strips that you can without losing the length. And you can probably even see on the video just how strong this stuff is. It's got a real toughness to it, which is exactly what we want. We want that strong, fibrous, slightly elastic quality that made it so important within the anatomy of the leg. The finer you can split your fibres down, the more control you're going to have over the final cordage. So just keep going until you've got a real pile of fluffy bits. From there on in, it's cordage as usual. You will find that if you dampen your fingers and moisten this, it's quite easy to then twist it into very, very fine cordage. It's exactly the same technique as I generally use when I'm making cordage by hand. It's a reverse twist, so I'm twisting away, crossing down, twisting away, crossing down. But you can take this very, very fine indeed. I'm going to use the same techniques I usually do for laying in fibres. I'm going to take just a couple of little ones, and off camera that was just me running that across my tongue. If you're not comfortable putting animal products like this in your mouth, just dip it very lightly in water. You don't need to soak it. It's a very slight moistening which will just soften the fibres and allow you to get a really fine, tight cordage out of them. Now, fine sinew thread made like this is great for sewing. It's going to make really tough, robust sewing thread. That is really strong. So lovely for things like binding handles, really nice for stringing jewellery on. If you need a really reinforced bit of seam on a project, this stuff is great. You can also make much heavier cordage with it, but I'm staying quite delicate little bits for this particular project. Just laying in fibres as I go. If this scale is a little hard for you to see the detail of, I've got lots of other videos that talk about cordage in a wide range of materials. This is exactly the same technique. So I'm going to keep going for a little while, make a bit more cordage, and then we'll have a look at how strong it is. But can you see that? Really beautiful stuff. So I have made about a foot of the stuff so far. Not perfect, but it's nice and fine. Just for fun, because I've not tried this before, I have here a 4-pound weight. That's roughly 2 kilos. I have no idea whether this is going to work or not, but I'm just going to see if this is strong enough to hold 4 pounds of weight. What do we reckon? Yes?
Yeah.
No? That's not bad, is it? And actually, that doesn't feel as if it's under too much strain. I think that'll take even heavier things again. This stuff is strong. It doesn't matter how often I work with sinew, I'm always impressed with how strong it is. How you can go from something that looks like a dried out stick, and then with just a little bit of pounding between a wooden board and a rock, take off the papery bit, separate it out, and you can end up with really fine, beautiful, unbelievably strong thread for all sorts of projects. It's always worth, if you have access to animal products, using every part you can of the animal. And the sinews, the tendons, are absolutely one of the most useful sections that you can make use of. I've got quite a lot of this cordage to make, but I think that's a good place to stop the video. Bye for now, and I will see you in the next one.